Take Two, Andre Sr. here with Sal Castaneda and Allie Rasmus. The show after the show where we dive a little deeper into some of the stories we're following for you today. And we're going to start with that fire that's burning in Northern California that Allie's been covering throughout the morning here. Allie, and it's thought that lightning may have sparked these fires. And we were covering it yesterday, and we saw that weather system moving up the central part of the state, heading up north, with all that lightning packed into it. And now possibly here we have these fires that were started up in Chinese camp. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's the thing that has kind of startled some of the fire officials there is it's not uncommon for lightning strikes to spark a fire in the Sierra foothills, especially this time of year. It's when things are dry and this is the season for it. But when I spoke to the public information officer for this particular incident, she said what is unusual is just how many fires were started, what they believe, by lightning, and how close together they are. So it's a concentration factor. So they're calling this, CAL FIRE is calling this the TCU Lightning Complex Fire, and you can see some of the video of it right there. So it's actually a cluster of 22 different separate fires that CAL FIRE believes was sparked by lightning. They don't have official confirmation of that, but they're pretty certain that most, if not all, of those 22 fires started with lightning strikes. And one of the largest ones and most devastating of those 22 fires is in the Chinese camp town that's in the Sierra foothills in Tuolomne County. And this is a historic landmark town that has a lot of buildings going back to the 1850s, going back to the California gold rush. And so the concerns and the sadness this morning is that some of those historic structures have likely been lost, although they don't know. CAL FIRE doesn't know yet exactly which buildings, how many of those buildings. It's still an active fire. There's still mandatory evacuations in Chinese camp, the town there, and in another town as well, Vallecillos in Calaveras County. So that's the situation with those two of the two largest of those 22 fires.
I'm not familiar with Chinese camp, although I used to live, just south of Modesto in Atwater area. But this must be off the beaten path a little bit, just outside of Modesto. And it's pretty sad that this was designated a historic landmark, and now we're kind of uncertain at this point what's become of the buildings that are there, huh?
Right. So we know that there have been, there's only, the town itself, there are people living there. There's only about 140 people living there, but some of their homes have also been destroyed. Again, they don't know exactly which of the historic buildings have been lost. We're seeing just some of the first video that we're seeing of that one building. I'm not sure which building that is, but you can just see just the exterior part of the building remains there, and a lot of other sites in town have been reduced to ash and rubble. Because the fires are still actively burning, these started not even a full 24 hours ago. So because of that, firefighters haven't been able to go in and do a full damage assessment. Now, the good news is they have not received any reports of loss of life or any injuries, but they do know that, and we can see visually as well, confirm it here, that there have been a number of buildings destroyed by this fire.
Some of those buildings look like they're historic buildings. Did the firefighters say if they're having any trouble getting resources to the flames?
Well, they have a lot of resources in terms of fire personnel and equipment. And when I spoke with the public information officer this morning, she says there was a lot of aerial resources put on this fire, this entire incident. So we're talking about the 22 separate fires, and there may be others that they just haven't noticed yet or haven't been reported yet, because part of this is burning in such a remote area, rugged terrain, as we often see with these wildfires this time of year. And so the biggest challenge for firefighters is the high temperatures. It's hot, it's dry. Yeah. And so going into the day, that's going to be one of their challenges.
Good news, I mean, weather-wise, is that the temperature's starting to cool down. The heat is starting to move up into Canada. So hopefully that will help with the firefight today. You also heard from people from the area that's affected by this, right?
Well, yes, there's some people living there, as you mentioned, and a couple of witness statements from people who had to evacuate. They said that a lot of the buildings and places that they recognize in that town are now gone.
Yeah. Let's play the sound with one of the people that are from Chinese camp area. Ken, if you have that.
Small hometown. Lots of people. It was a quiet little place. I don't think it'll be pretty quiet now. There's really nothing left.
Yeah, so you heard what she's saying there. Nothing left, and even our partners, KCRA Channel 3 up in Sacramento, reports that that town has been heavily damaged by the fire there. But to hear it come out of the mouths of people who live in that area and that are affected by this, it's truly sad. And covering these over the years in California, you went up to the Camp Fire. Many years ago. Allie, you guys have covered them over the years, and hearing from the heartbroken families who live in these areas and have lost everything, and that's what we're seeing once again today. And the flames intense here in this one as well. And
even though Chinese Camp, the town has gotten a lot of attention because of its historic significance, there is another town that's also Vallecillos, and that's in Calaveras County. It's included as part of the same complex of fires, but that's the second largest in that group of 22 fires, and that's also prompted some evacuations, mandatory evacuations.
Do we know the distance between both those towns, or is it
I'm not
roughly the same?
I'm not sure, and these are neighboring counties.
Yeah.
So taking a broad view, the area that this complex of fires includes it's burned about 12,400 acres so far, and the official start time, according to CAL FIRE, when it was first reported, was 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So not even 24 hours, and it's consumed a wide swath of area.
Yeah, that's a lot of
acreage,
12,400. So
yeah,
it's kind of big for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
This is the latest update now. Ken can play for us from CAL FIRE about the efforts to stomp out the flames here on this complex fire.
The fact that we had so many in such a short amount of time. There may be fires that haven't been identified or discovered yet, and things could change rapidly. So to be diligent in their and alert to what's going on around them and evacuate if they feel unsafe.
Yeah, so here you go. Almost 12,000 acres burned so far, as you just heard there. At least 9 fire companies. Fires comprise the complex fire here. And the most threatening ones is the one in Tuolomne County. I think I just mispronounced that. Tuolomne County, that sparked near Don Pedro Reservoir. So we'll keep following this story for you. Allie's going to keep working on this, have an update for you coming up at noon. But, pretty sad update. The picket fire that we've been reporting on, there's been some ground gained on that one. I think, it was
like 91%.
91% contained,
Yeah,
77,000 acres.
Yeah, I think in covering wildfires like this and talking to CAL FIRE, once you reach that 30% containment, percentage-wise, firefighters have definitely gotten the upper hand on it, even though 30% isn't 90%.
They might even move
They've turned the
resources
corner.
from picket to this one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah,
I'm sure
that's what I'm thinking.
This complex of fires, by the way, no containment.
No
0%.
containment. Oh, wow.
So
All right.
yeah.
Allie, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll look for your update a little later on. And we'll have much more coming up, including we're going to have Greg Lee up here in a little bit talking about the Lahaina High School, Luna High School and Paradise High School. They're going to be having a football game. They finally got that together. But coming up after the break, we're going to have James Torres up here. He's going to be talking with us about the Epstein case, the effort in Congress, and the big demonstration held at Capitol Hill today with some of the victims coming forward and speaking about their encounters with the Jeffrey Epstein, who is, as we all know here, took his life in jail. But the case still remains a very popular topic among politicians and members of the public. We'll have more on that coming up after this. right, Jeffrey Epstein back in the news again, at least the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Remember a few months ago there was talk about releasing this client list. That never happened. And now a House committee, bipartisan House committee, in fact, is investigating it, releasing 33,000 pages of files yesterday. And James Torres joins us now because some of the victims gathering today to kind of put more of a public face on this.
Yeah, you know, Jeffrey Epstein and the whole story is extremely complicated and complex to understand.
Yeah.
And it's hard to lose track if you haven't been keeping track of it since the 1990s. So real simply, and just to try to simplify it just for the purposes of trying to understand, I think most people understand the very basic version of the Jeffrey Epstein story. He's a convicted sex trafficker. Essentially, the story goes that he's been accused of grooming young women as young as 14, 15, 16-year-old girls. He and his former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, they would get these girls, recruit them out of high school to offer massages to rich men, to him, to a lot of his friends. He would pay them off to do the services and to stay quiet and not reveal any of what they're doing. A lot of these women that we heard from this morning would say that they'd be offered promises about getting their career started or getting their lives changed, all without not realizing that they were entering this sex trafficking ring, asked to do sex services, you know, really, really awful, terrible things that you really couldn't imagine. So that's the Jeffrey Epstein story in its most basic form, right? There's now this idea that there are so many things that protected Jeffrey Epstein. How did he get away with this for so many decades and so many years, only recently getting convicted in 2019, going to jail, and then, you know, allegedly committing suicide in jail? A lot of conspirators are saying there's got to be more to the story. Sure. So that's why all of this idea of like these files need to be released, because there are so many files. I mean, you're going back to investigations from the early 2000s, late 90s, decades worth, that people are wondering, how is this possible that he could get away with this for so long? How was he so protected? And how did he have so much money to pay off some of these people to allegedly stay quiet, keep his persona going? So there was a call from the House Oversight Committee to subpoena, you heard conversations about subpoenaing Ghislaine Maxwell and having interviews with her, subpoenaing Jeffrey Epstein's estate in Palm Beach, Florida, and a number of different ways so they can try to get some more of these files and make them public. Well, Representative Ro Khanna in Congress, who represents the South Bay, partnered up with a Republican lawmaker out of Kentucky. They two together are like, these subpoenas aren't enough. Like, we released these 33,000 documents and files yesterday that included flight logs, raw video, testimony, transcripts. They say most of which was already public anyway. We're not getting more answers than what we want. We're going to try to push together this new bill, something along the lines of the Jeffrey Epstein Transparency Files Act. I don't remember the exact wording of the title of the bill, but they're trying to push this bill forward that would force the Department of Justice and the House Oversight Committee to release absolutely everything that they have on the Jeffrey Epstein case. With the understanding they would redact information of victims,
right,
their personal
normal,
identities,
right.
you know.
Or maybe even people who were not, you know, convicted, right? So this is.
Well, I think
even
mostly
then, that's.
I think mostly it's the victims you want to protect,
right?
Not everyone else.
Correct.
Which is what I think. What many people in the public, they want to see.
It's kind of a fine line, because well, obviously you want to protect the victims. Anyone who, let's say, went to his island. You know, if, for example, anyone whose name is in this, James, as a perpetrator,
it would imply a lot.
It would, right. Sure.
And there's this idea that there's this Epstein client list. And I think attorneys who we heard from earlier this morning.
Well, not just idea. I mean, Pam Bondi said it.
Right.
Well, the idea, just to make it clear, and again, it's a lot to understand. It's not like Epstein wrote down a list of all of his friends and who he sent some of these young girls to receive services. It's just this idea that he has a lot of these friends and a lot of these victims know who their abusers are. Who are these people? So there's not like an actual physical list. I think that actually gets misunderstood.
So these women that are, you know, some of them are there testifying right now on Capitol Hill or just did earlier this morning, they would know who these people are on this list?
Correct.
Right.
Again, hypothetical, not hypothetical list, but like a metaphorical list.
But if
just
this
the
list
idea
came,
that
if their names come up in Epstein's dealings,
correct.
these women recognize these names, then it would provide a link between
and understand these. And so what happened? Let me explain a little bit what happened here this morning. Ro Khanna and Representative Thomas Massie, they're partnering up to push this bill. But this bill keeps getting stalled into certain House committees. We know that the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has been long saying we don't need this kind of bill to move forward because we're already working on this. We're already trying to get as much Epstein information out there. But these lawmakers are saying, you're not working hard enough, it's not happening fast enough, we need to push this bill forward. And they're doing that in the way of what's called a discharge position. Essentially means if they get a majority of the people in the House of Representatives to agree this bill needs to go straight to the House floor, instead of going through all these committees, they can do that. So that was kind of their goal today and why they brought up a number of these abused victims to speak their stories and appeal to both the president and to other lawmakers that
in the House
need this,
to get it up to just a full vote. Right. Forget the committees, forget going through that same process. Just get it up there.
Correct.
And get lawmakers to vote on release.
And a lot of these women who we heard from today who are recounting some of their experiences from 30 plus years ago, and as well as their attorneys are telling us they have seen some of the documents that are confidential. They have seen some of these files that are not released to the public yet, which is why they are calling on lawmakers to just release everything so the public can see it.
So now we're getting witness statements that there are indeed documents that we haven't seen yet, even though some people say there are no documents. But these
and you have reporters asking, well, why not say it out here?
Yeah.
Obviously, there are a bunch of legal bounds. There are a bunch of
Well,
really...
you mean why don't the women say it there publicly?
Right.
Well, I mean, couldn't that be libelous if that name never comes out?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I mean,
it has
slander.
It would have to come out. In order for them not to be accused of slander, it would have to come out in the paperwork. Then they can say,
you get
okay,
in a lot
now we have a case.
You get in a lot of legal trouble. You'd also run the risk of, legally destroying evidence. If you illegally reveal evidence, that can potentially no longer be used
no good
in the future. But they did. I will mention some of the women who spoke. That one woman in particular mentioned how she was taken to trips to Africa with Bill Clinton, with former President Bill Clinton, and how Jeffrey Epstein would talk about, she would use the word brag. Jeffrey Epstein would brag about his relationship with President Donald Trump, and people followed up and asked her to clarify that, and she would blatantly, very clearly say Epstein and Trump were very close friends, and Epstein would brag about that. Which was pretty interesting. I think you mentioned we have one piece of sound that one woman spoke to. She said that she was recruited when she was 16 years old. She heard that she could make some really quick, easy, large amounts of cash by working for some rich men, and then this is kind of what she remembers from her first experience entering the Epstein mansion.
And when I got into the massage room, Jeffrey Epstein undressed and asked me to do things to him. My eyes welled up with tears, and I have never been more scared in my life. I felt and hoped to never hear from him again, but he called me every day. He was so wealthy and powerful, and he would not let me go. I felt I had no choice. If I disobeyed him, I knew something bad would happen.
Felt like she had no choice.
No, it's just enough.
I would say
I'd actually prefer more, Tim.
two options: either recruit more women to do this, and you get paid $200 per person, or I'm just going to keep essentially harassing you and essentially make you pay for not helping me in the way that I want.
Pretty disturbing.
So, yeah.
Pretty disturbing.
This woman in particular said that she was eventually treated like a co-conspirator because she did end up fearing for her life, fearing for her family's safety.
Haley
she did
Robson.
end up.
Haley Robson's name,
She ended up bringing up some girls over to Epstein's mansion and having them perform the same service as she did. And that is one of a number of different stories that these women shared, all of which are absolutely horrible to hear, all of which are meant to appeal to these lawmakers to push and agree on the bill. Only 218 lawmakers need to do that. Massie and Khanna say they're about 216 at this point, so they need 2 more lawmakers to sign on in order for this to push to get to a House vote.
Yeah, and which is a whole other thing. All right, James, thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to have much more after this. Greg Lee's going to be joining us here to talk about something special that's going to be happening very soon between 2 communities that were devastated by wildfires. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Take Two. Andre Senior, Sal Castaneda. We're joined by Greg Lee right now, who did a fantastic story previewing something between two communities, two high schools that were really impacted by wildfires. You know, it is a bright spot, you know, in the middle of what we saw in the devastation in both these communities.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about the impact of sports, right? And this is really a very visual and literal example of the power that sports has to bring people together. So you have Paradise High School that we all well know, and you guys covered the Camp Fire in 2018 that wiped Paradise off the map, killed 86 people, and the Lahaina Fire more recently in 2023. Yeah. So the Camp Fire, I mean, literally 9 months after that fire, there were a number of kids who said, I still want to play football. The team was about to go to the playoffs before that fire struck and obviously ended their season, and the focus was on making sure everyone was okay. And so the first game, I went back and watched the video there in 2019, not a dry eye in the stands as these guys retook the field. The seniors who saw their season ended led the team out onto the field, and it was really powerful. And then, okay, fast forward to the Lahaina fire. Lahaina Luna High School is the one public high school out there. Their community devastated by fire. Their team, too, came together in sort of the ruins to say, we need community. We want to be together. So after the Lahaina fire, Paradise said, how can we help? How can we help this community that we very intimately understand what they're going through? And they said, let's go out there and play a game. So Paradise will travel to Lahaina next year in 2026 in September this time, and they will play a football game.
They're also going to be staying with the Lahaina students as well. I thought that was an interesting angle of this. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the players from Paradise will stay and be paired up with players from Lahaina. And again, Lahaina is still going through it. They're still trying to figure out how to rebuild. And I think there's something really special about sharing those stories and sharing those experiences. And for the Paradise players to say, look, it is tough right now, but you guys will get through this. Lean on each other, lean on the community, lean on football. And it'll get you through this very difficult
This is a great idea. Who came up with it?
So Paradise, they said, we want to help. How can we help? And the sports team kind of said, what if we played a game? And this was a conversation that played out over the course of a year. And so talking to the athletic directors from both schools via Zoom, it was hard not to get teary-eyed just thinking about the impact, because the score is not going to matter. What happens on the field is not going to matter. Let's play some football, and let's enjoy the fact that we are a resilient two communities that have powered through this, and we're really doing something special.
It's a great story.
And I have to give a little plug here, because Paradise is raising money because they want some help. It's expensive.
That's the other thing. That's the reason I wanted to bring this up. You know, if anyone can help, there have been some great people out there in the past, and I'm hoping that someone will be able to see this and help these two schools get together for this game. They need the cash.
That's right. We have a very generous viewer base here at KTVU and around the country, and we're really hoping that people see the value and importance of this and chip in to help these Paradise players get there, because, you know, the travel and all that is not
expensive.
cheap.
It's not cheap, but you know, but the what this could mean for those kids and those families in both these communities. I mean, there's no price you can put on that.
Yeah, and I really hope they stream that game or they put that game somewhere, because there's people invested all over the country.
Tell it to the bosses. Maybe we can do it here.
Maybe we can do it.
Greg, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Sal, guys, thank you so much. And thank you for watching Take Two and joining us. We'll see you back here again at noon, but stick around. Gassia is up next with Off the Mic with Mike and Gassia right after this.